Welcome back. Now, there'll be more from my guests, Roman and Vic, very shortly. But first, I'm here with the chefs, Jose and Marcus, of course, and a newcomer to the show. It's the brilliant Bettina Campolucci Bordi. Did I pronounce that right, first of all? As a dyslexic person, I got it right. Yes, so now you're here to talk about your book as well, but how did it all start for you? Because you fell in love with food. I mean, you've travelled the world in doing what you're doing. Huge Instagram following as well. Yes. Where did your love of food come from then? Was it the travelling or your...
Definitely from my childhood.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Tanzania for my first 11 years. I come from a multicultural background.
Your mother is...
Bulgarian, Danish, my father's Norwegian, my grandmother lived in Sweden, so, yeah, all mixed.
And obviously loves travelling. I mean, some of the places that you've been to as well on your travels. Spain, of course. How was Spain?
Yes, I lived in Spain for 12 years, actually.
Amazing. Iceland, Mongolia, Zanzibar, Azores, Costa Rica, Bali. I mean, this must have given you huge inspiration for writing and the passion for food.
Yeah, definitely. So I started out in the wellness industry, co-hosting and running wellness retreats.
Yeah.
And started cooking on them.
You've managed to pick stuff that's become hugely popular now. You mentioned the wellness thing. You were doing that years before it, and it is so popular now. Together with this thing that you're involved in now. I mean, tell us about this first of all. The vegan, the 7-day challenge. You're calling it.
7-day vegan challenge.
Right.
Everyone can do 7 days.
So what makes yours different to the other ones, really? You're not lecturing people, are you? That's the great
not
thing
at all. I don't preach. It's all cooking from scratch.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. I try to follow seasons as much as possible. And I think with any cooking genre, if you cook from scratch, then you're more likely to do something that's really good.
What about a 7-day challenge, gents? Are you up for it? Clearly not. That's
I can try.
But you're cooking. You're cooking. What is it? Full vegan food?
Yeah.
Full vegan dish next.
Yeah.
I mean, you're but it is an increasingly. You know, it is a market that's increasing rapidly. You must have noticed that in your restaurant, but particularly the high-end restaurants.
Yeah, I think it's something that we've had to come to terms with many years ago. I think vegetarian cuisine really pushed kitchens to the boundary many years ago. And I think with foraging and growing ingredients and vegetables, I think chefs have had to become a lot wiser to the really good things in life. And actually, there's a demand for that. People can use veganism and vegetarian cuisines for health. They want to eat well. They want to eat something a bit lighter. I think trying something for 7 days is great.
This all combines with the wellness sort of thing, which is hugely topical.
And also making vegetables the hero ingredient of your plate.
So how do you encourage people to try this? Because there's all very well saying we're going to do it, but how do you encourage somebody to give it a go?
So all the recipes in the book are very short ingredients, ingredient-wise, fuss-free. You can get hold of everything either in supermarkets or from your farmers' shops, even in a veg box. So I use vegetables like swede, cabbage, carrot, potatoes that sound quite boring, but I try to make them interesting and sort of edible. And then in the book, you've got 3 menu planners with all your ingredients. So you can actually take a picture of the ingredients list, print it out, and then you can tick off what you've got in your pantry, and then go to the shop and get the rest.
So, and you, like you say, I mean, you've travelled all over the place. You can, it reflects in the type of things that are in the book, really, because you look at vegan food as well. I think you've got to go to Japan, which you've clearly got Japanese recipes in there, Indian recipes as well.
There's a little bit of everything.
There's a little bit of everything in here, but colour is it's got to look appetising, because often with this can look the same colour all the time.
Exactly, and it's also got to be sort of comforting and nourishing, and not just a grain bowl with sort of, you know, your typical vegan fare. There's stews and there's shepherd pies and there's burgers, but just made with a twist. I don't use any fake meats or anything like that either. Yeah. And texture is really important when it comes to plant-based, so that it's not one-dimensional. So when you bite into a burger, there's a little bit of brown rice, there's a little bit of nuts, there's kale for colour.
And you say this is not just aimed at vegetarians, this is for anybody to have a go.
It's for anybody to have a go, and I think making it a challenge sort of opens you up to try different variations of ingredients that you wouldn't normally do, and it gets you out of your comfort zone.
Run through what you've got over here, then. What have we got for this dish?
So we've got leeks, and I love using leeks because if you slow cook them, they are sort of naturally sweet, and you've got loads of them in the UK. Then we've got some peppers that are also nice and sweet and good for colour. Got some chickpeas, cheap as chips, you can get them anywhere. Got some chilli for sort of spiciness, a little bit of paprika powder, Spanish. And
You had to get that in. Yeah.
and then you've got leafy greens, which is spinach, and I usually put all the leafy greens into right at the end, so they just wilt in. And then you've got avocado for creaminess. They're in season from October to May, so they're not flown in from too far away.
Yeah.
And then we've got some cherry tomatoes that you can just roast in the oven.
So this is. I mean, your true test. You've got top chefs here.
I know.
Top chefs here.
nerve-wracking.
I mean, I don't even want to cook for them, to be honest with you. But we've got some forks. We can taste this. So what have you done? Have you cooked this? Have you mixed it all together? What have you done?
It's just so half
It's a
of
salad, cold, also cold.
No. It's meant to be warm. So it's a chickpea scramble, not meant to emulate eggs, but it's sort of a protein-packed meal that you can have very quickly in the morning. All of these recipes are very short and simple, so it's more sort of to get in as many nutrients as possible and in as little time as possible, but still cook from scratch.
Yeah.
Love it. And with the steak, it'd be amazing. It's not the point of the book.
And can people notice this within a week? Because, I mean, a few of my mates have now, they've reached a certain age, I shan't mention their names, Robert, has now decided to go on one of these wellness retreats.
Yes.
But he
I
comes
run them,
back.
come to mine.
But he literally comes back a different person.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know whether you guys have been, but you come back as most blokes don't want to do that sort of stuff, and that's what.
It's good though.
But he came back as a different person.
I think I think if you can take time out for 1 week for yourself, I mean, how often do we do that normally? It's good, and you eat well, you do yoga or you do exercise. It's good.
So people could probably feel the benefits from this trip
Yeah,
within a week.
It's almost like doing a retreat at home.
Okay. To do fully vegan,
Yes.
it's quite tricky for a
It's
chef,
tough.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not the easiest thing, and
it's
that's
tough.
why stuff like this will help us chefs as well. What have we got here?
So I run workshops where I teach plant-based cooking, and
Right.
one of the workshops is cheese making, but I use nuts and seeds to make cheese, and this has been aged with probiotics, and it's got truffle in actually as well. So it's been aged for a few days.
Right.
It's based on cashews.
Okay.
And do you want to give it a go?
Yeah.
So do you
No,
extract the milk from the?
So you should
milk
try
from-
some on
sorry.
toast.
How do you get?
So you blend the nuts or the seeds that you're using. In this case, we've got cashews, and then you add probiotics to it, and you
it's
ferment
soft.
it. And you ferment it basically.
Right.
It'll ferment for either 24 or 48 hours, depending on the temperature. And then you can dehydrate it so that it forms a crust, or you can age it in a fridge.
Have you done anything to that? Is that like literally how it comes? Like you haven't touched it, you haven't squashed it?
No, so I've done it in the little chef ring, but it's been squashed because of the temperature.
James?
You wait.
Oh,
lovely.
is that a good?
Wow.
I'll tell you what.
Wow.
It's fantastic.
Yay!
Huh?
Right, brilliant. I
do
didn't
you
expect
reckon?
that.
No.
I did not expect that.
Purely vegan.
Purely vegan. That's made out of cashews, bacteria, which is the probiotics, and it's got truffle in.
Multi-Michelin star chef. Look
Do you
at
bring
it.
any spare books with you?
How good is that?
Oh, really good. It's just absolutely sensational.
It's amazing.
So-
isn't it?
The creaminess is just unbelievable.
That's usually the game changer in terms of cheese is possible, but
Yeah.
you're basically using, instead of using milk, you're using cashews.
But what you're doing with a dish like this is delicious, this is fresh, it's great produce. You're catching people's attention when you do things like that.
Which
And
is you want to do with food anyway.
That is exactly what we need to do. That type of dish does just that. Well done.
You looked at it and went, not too
I know
sure
it
about
looks a bit.
Look a little bit.
So the courgette flowers.
Yes.
Fill courgette flowers with that and pan fry them, and
Stunning.
it's a good dish.
That's definitely going to be a restaurant in central London, I guarantee you. Watch this space and check it out on the internet. We'll put that recipe online if that's
Yeah,
okay.
of course.
Thank you very much, Evie. Bettina Campolucci! Right, still to come. I'll be giving you a little masterclass in steak after this. And Marcus will be taking over the kitchen, but after the break, it's Jose's turn to be put behind the hobs with a Spanish twist on a British classic. See you in a bit.